Wow, we are off to one hell of a good start. Wow. Alrighty, so welcome in to another Monday Night live stream. I don't know what just happened. That was not at all how I planned. Um, all right. Well, sometimes when you go live, crap happens, and there you go. Um, so let me go back to the screen where I was. Um, Thank you all for being here so far. I see David, Tony, Toro, Eric. Welcome all in. I appreciate you all being here. Nils, welcome in, Nils. Um, yeah, I mean, so that was interesting. I was actually trying to create something and then kind of lost track of time. Um, yeah, so let's see if this works. Um, my gut says it won't because, of course, the start of the thing. But if you we now have a JAU timer. We talked about before. We finally have one. So we now have an official, or I'm calling it an official, JAU timer. Should be fairly close. I have not actually automated it to start when I actually go live, so I have to start it manually. But I think it's pretty cool. I was working on that before the stream starts and kind of got sidetracked. So yes, as David says, hit the smash button. Sorry, smash the like button. Jeez. I'm sorry, I'm just frustrated about that beginning. Um, yeah. So, as kind of referenced, oh, was the music hot? I didn't notice. I actually don't wear any form of listening device, so I actually don't know what this sounds like before I go live. I probably should change that. Um, if the music or my audio is bad, let me know. Um, Eric says green screen for the win. That's twice. Uh, I actually figured out that my button on my Stream Deck that I put the key in and out, it wasn't actually changing the parameter I thought it was. So I wasn't actually changing the background transition. So I fixed that, and then I apparently undid it. So uh, I guess this brings us to the first topic, which was yesterday's live stream with Aaron Parecki. I'm sure everybody here knows who Aaron Parecki is. He had me on his live stream to talk about sports production. Um, it went incredibly fast, a lot faster than I thought it was going to go. We didn't get to touch on every topic that I thought we'd talk about. Um, so I prepared like 50 or 60 pictures. We showed like 7. So I have a bunch of pictures to show if you want to see them. We can kind of go through what I prepared. That's one topic for tonight. The other thing I wanted to briefly talk about was I saw a couple of people had questions that didn't get answered, and so I thought maybe I would address those questions first. Um, so there were 2 questions about NDI. IT Never Gets Old asked, do you use NDI with vMix? And the answer is yes. We use vMix, of course, for the sports in the university. And the current system we use, the sports actual bug, like the score bug, comes from a laptop that's running this that's running software called Production Truck, which again I cannot stand the name of that software. And Production Truck is making the score bug, and we are sending NDI over to vMix. The reason why is because Production Truck has a tie-in to the automated scoreboard system, and therefore it updates automatically. There's no need for an operator to do it. Now, vMix can do that as well, but we haven't figured out a way to do that easily and quickly, and with the league's graphics. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons why we don't do it that way. I would love to get rid of that laptop and just go straight into vMix with the score data, but that's a thing for another day. So yes, we do NDI. I don't think that it's a great product at scale. I think NDI works in a small studio or a small trailer, or around your house, but I think that's where it should stop. I don't think NDI can scale to the level that some productions may require. So I don't know if you're here or if you're watching, but if you are, that hopefully that answers your question. Tony says JAU timer for the wind. David says I like that copyright music. No copyright music. Yeah, let's all say it together. Production truck. I'm sorry, it really bugs me because this graphic behind me, that's a production truck. You literally took a name of a device that cost millions of dollars and you put it in this piece of software that, in my opinion, is not very good. Definitely not very good. So I just don't like the name. Sorry. Call it anything else you want. Just don't call it production truck, or I don't know. It just so. Anyway, back to the questions. So along with that, there was a question of what is your experience with NDI and any general comments about it. I think I kind of just explained that. NDI is definitely a cool tool. It has a use case, but it doesn't scale properly, and therefore, and honestly, the part of the issue is there's NDI and there's NDI HX. Yeah, I think there's like a lower quality version, and I've had issues with Production Truck being on one software version of NDI and the Bird Dog decoder being on a different version of NDI, and they don't talk. And to me, that you can't happen. If you're having a standard, you have to have a standard that everything talks. You can't have, well, you're running SDK version 4.0 and you're on SDK version 3.0 and they're not compatible. That doesn't work. Like that doesn't help anybody do anything. So, that's why I'm like, no. NDI is just not. I mean, New Tech made it. It's a cool product. I liked it that you can get it for free on Windows, but it's just not the thing. So, hopefully that answers those questions. Again, I'm not sure if any of you are actually here to see that response, but yeah, HX. Okay, Eric says it's HX, and there's 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, and it's when you got incompatibility with the versions, it creates an issue. And if one can speak HX and the other one can't, then like you have issues there. And I got burned by it more than once, and so burned me more than once, and I'm not going to do it, you know. Joe's in the house. Welcome in, Joe. So we're talking about last night's stream, some of the topics. I know, Joe, you had one question in particular you wanted to talk about, and that was actually my next topic, was Fantastic asked, what did you switch to after Live View, and have you tried the Comrex live shots? So we switched from Live View to a company called Dejero. We also use TVU. We use them all. You know, they all have their place and purposes. I'm not going to say whether or not Dejero is working out. It's kind of too soon to really tell. Live View worked out. It had its issues. Dejero has its issues. TVU has its issues. I mean, they all have issues. I guess the question is, which one do you prefer? So we switched to Dejero. But I've also know that people use TVU, which is is a competitor. And then there's also you mentioned, or the question, Fantastic asked about Comrex live shots. So no, I've never used Comrex live shots. We have used the Comrex at radio station. We have used the Comrex access system. Wow, my brain is not working tonight. The Comrex access system for radio, and that thing's been rock solid. So the Comrex live shots may be worthwhile. I don't know. I can't speak with to any certainty. But if it's like the other products, Comrex could be a cool product to try. I know, Joe, you were asking about stuff earlier. I think that may be one to look at. I know their stuff is pretty good. So Comrex, that is. A couple other things I've run across, for trying to do bonded or IP transmissions. I guess I don't do bonded, but if you want IP based transmissions, there's companies like LTN, which is a very widely used and well known company that does IP transmission. There's also a brand new one I just ran into the other day called Bitfire. Don't know much about them, but they do IP transmission. I don't think they do any of the cellular bonded stuff, but so yeah, there's 5 companies, 6 companies you could go look at if you're interested in that stuff. I think the biggest thing I can say to you, if you want to do anything, you know, that is mission critical, is have a backup plan and maybe have two. If you're talking about whether it's a football game or whether it's, a wedding or whatever it is you're doing, you need to have, 2 outbound paths. I talked about yesterday in that stream how every event I've worked, above a certain level had fiber and satellite, or fiber, satellite, and maybe SRT if it was, a high profile event, or a live view backpack. I remember when I did some football games, we were sending the signal back via microwave, but then we also had a live view backpack sitting next to us. So in the event that we were at a location where we couldn't get the microwave truck to work, we had a live view backpack there. It was a simple call back to the station to have them switch the source if there was ever a problem. So we always had some sort of backup plan if it's a big game or a big event, like a wedding or whatever that you're trying to do. So that'd be my suggestion for any of you doing productions, is basically to always have a backup plan and try to think about that days, if not weeks in advance, and not the morning of. So let's see who else is here. Oh, welcome in, Michael. Happy Monday. So Michael says, I have my biggest sports broadcast yet this Friday, going to Peacock. Interesting. Michael, what are you doing for the broadcast? If can you give me a little more information? Are you an audio op, camera operator? Just curious what you are, what position you are working. I'd love to hear more about that for sure. Get some fuzzies in your lower. Oh, yeah, probably. So this key wall is it's the same. Well, I don't think it's exactly the same settings. So yesterday I was making changes in the ATEM to make the key wall work, and I apparently forgot to save state. And so I tried to quickly put them back to where I thought they were this morning or today, and apparently they're not. It does not work the same way. And plus also the shirt, I guess, is a more noisy shirt. So, I mean, yeah. Sorry about that. I do think I'm going to get rid of the green screen. I don't think I'm going to keep the green screen. It was kind of an idea to play with. It's kind of cool, but I'm not really a big fan of it. Like, I'd rather just have a real set behind me that I could use and just come down and sit down and not worry about lighting it, because obviously green walls take some lighting. So I don't know. I may just get rid of the green wall entirely. Just not a fan, but I thought I would give it a shot yesterday for Aaron's stream, and just try to play around with it. And it could be cool. I mean, I never had a green screen that I could just, use. So Eric says 2 pathways. Got it. Yeah. You always got to have, always got to have a backup plan. Always got to have 2 paths out if possible. Or sometimes more. I mean, like I said, depending on what you're doing. I think the chat plugin is not working again. Come on. Alrighty, so, yep. So, yeah, I mean, I know, Joe, I know what you were saying. 2 pathways is a nice idea, not always practical. Yeah, I mean, then I guess what I would say is, if you could get a Live View or Dejero or whatever and give it more modems, make sure the modems are for different companies. Like, make sure you have an AT&T, a Verizon, and a T-Mobile SIM card, so you don't just rely on one. We, for one, have had massive, massive issues with Verizon. Did I just change color, or is this monitor weird? Or is my camera in auto? My camera's probably in auto. That's probably what happened. It's probably doing auto white balance. Crap. Anyway, today's stream is just, oh boy. So yeah, so what I was going to say is, we've been having massive issues with Verizon, and they were the best one for the longest time, and now I think they're probably the worst company to have, at least around here, because I got an AT&T hotspot the other day, and I get literally 10 times, if not 20 times the data in my office than Verizon, and I just think that's unacceptable. I mean, in downtown, like, I should be getting equal speeds from both, and I get single digits, in my office, and I get 100 plus, from AT&T. That's to me unacceptable. So Verizon needs to step it up. And then somebody who's not tech related commented the other day on Facebook, anyone else having issues with Verizon? And there were 30 or 40 posts from different people saying, yes, Verizon is bad. Verizon's bad. So something's happening with Verizon. I've tried calling them before. I've gotten new phones from them. It doesn't solve the issue. So back to your question, sorry. If you're going to do a modem or a hotspot, like a bonded cellular solution, make sure you have all three, and then you add Wi-Fi, or you add a wired connector. Just get as much data to that as possible. Or if you could find a way, I'm not sure how you do it, something that can resend the data, some sort of system where it can resend the data, and that increases the delay. But I mean, like most backpacks that are bonded, you could tell it to do a 10-second delay, or even a 20-second delay, I think, on some of them. And basically, you set that setting, and you say, I want max delay, and basically that makes sure that the data packets get sent out. It doesn't care if it has to resend them 5 times or 10 times. If you're putting it on max delay, you're getting that picture out, unless you have literally zero reception. But if you have any reception, it's going to keep trying the packets, over and over again to make sure that you have a signal that works. Eric says, yeah, Black Magic. I mean, it's my fault. I didn't hit save. That's my fault. Joe says, if I spend $1,500 on a device, it would be nice if it worked. Absolutely. I don't know if you care if I share what device you have, or if you can share it again. But yeah, I mean, those things definitely should work. I'm not sure how much you wanted me to get into your situation, Joe. Eric says, do all the SIM cards. Yeah, two cell carriers and Wi-Fi, which, I mean, should be enough. You would think that'd be enough, but man, and venue Wi-Fi is notoriously bad. I've had people do tests before, like go up to a venue and be like, yeah, it worked great. And then like come back the next day and it goes, well, it doesn't work. I'm like, well, because there's people there now. You did a test when nobody was there. Of course it worked. Yeah, the color changed. So I must have forgot to put it in manual. Your picture looks slightly squished vertically. I don't think I'm doing it. There's no, I don't know how it would be squished. Toro says he's with T-Mobile. I actually did some speed test a while back with a T-Mobile SIM. Well, it was Mint Mobile, which uses T-Mobile. And I was very impressed with T-Mobile speeds. I mean, there were places where I was getting 600 megs per second, which, Just like I always say, you don't need 4K. You don't need 600 megs on your phone. But the fact that it could do it, I mean, good for it. I don't know why anybody needs that kind of speed on their phone, but yeah. So I mean, T-Mobile definitely was impressive. AT&T's have been impressive, at least in my testing. Everywhere I've tested this hotspot, we've gotten better reception, and so I'm considering a switch to AT&T or T-Mobile or Mint or whoever, because just I'm not happy with Verizon. That's for sure. Joe says there was also a delay in the Terra deck. What was the delay? Like, how long was the delay set for? Just curious. David says 0-tier can bond connections on a layer 4 and reassemble them their end. Huh, that sounds interesting. That'd be interesting to try if it can actually do that. Joe, wasn't there what didn't you try a bonding service? What was that called? We tried it once and I never used it again, but I did wanted to try. I wanted to get back to that and try it again. At one point, I also thought about rolling my own. I know there were 2 products out there that are open source that claim to do it. I don't know how well they worked. The one I tried kind of worked, but it didn't seem like it was the best option. But the British guy who's on YouTube who makes how-to videos using OpenWRT did it. I think he's British. He had one. It was something like MP something. I was going to try it out. MPTC router. The Open MPTC router project. And I never actually got a chance to try it. That was one I was going to try to do, see if you can roll your own. So Joe's using the Teradek VDU Go, and it failed on him their day, I think twice, he said. And so we're trying to figure out a better solution for Joe's, broadcast that he's doing. Joe says venue Wi-Fi is what crashed, but it was the Teradek that choked because of it. Yeah. I mean, I guess the next thing is the firmware up to date? Was there any kind of updates or settings that could be changed? Toro says he thinks my shot's the angle. I mean, I'm pretty much in line with the camera itself. Now, the photo in the background is taken from a higher vantage point. So, yeah, I guess that could be playing tricks on it. David says 600 megabit download. I think it was 600 download with T-Mobile. I may be able to actually find. I may be able to actually find that graph I made because it was actually pretty interesting to compare. I am not finding it right now. Oh yeah, here we go. It's on this laptop. Copy. Come on. This is going to be really crude, but it might work. So here is basically what I was doing for speed test. This was T-Mobile versus Verizon. I must have not put the 600 one on here, but I'm pretty sure there was one that was like 600 megs. I was just shocked. So here, and this is a wide range of locations. I never did the same location twice. I tried to vary the times, from 10 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. everywhere I tested, T-Mobile was better. Um, and this was, you can see this was literally like a year ago. Um, I did this test for over the course of like 2 months, so you can kind of see like it didn't matter where it was better. And this would have been download speeds, and now I'm over that. So at least that part's working. So hopefully that was of interest to you. Let me go back to the chat. Joe says delay was 15 seconds with adaptive bitrate. Speedify. That was the bonding software. No, David, you probably can't post links, but now you can, David. That was easy. Um, yeah, so Speedify was the solution that we were trying at one point. Did it ever work? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, I know we kind of gave up on it, but I'm not quite sure why. PepLink has it. Okay. Yeah, the project that I was going to try was openmptcrouter.com. Mushroom Networks, is that a company that does bonding as well? And Joe, I don't know if you were here. I don't know if you saw the super secret thing I was working on. So we now have a JAU counter. I started this right before I hit the take button and before all hell broke loose. Um, but yeah, so now we have a JAU counter. I probably not official, I know, but you know, hey, I wanted to make one, and so we now have one. So that's just for you, Joe. Alrighty. So Joe says he checked firmware, no updates. Oh yeah. Okay. I actually have run in this before where the older firmware was better. I don't remember the product in particular, but I remember at work we did an update and we just had massive issues with the update. It's probably a backpack if I had to guess. And it's like, can we go back? Or maybe it was the audio board. That's probably what it was. I think it was the audio board. Because the audio board is a software product now, and so yeah, sometimes the older firmware does work better. They get a setting change wrong, or they do something, and it actually creates a bigger problem than before. Oh no, you don't understand, Eric. Like in my basement right now, if I open up speed test, turn off Wi-Fi. Single digits. Single digits. 5.14 is what I get right now in my basement. And if I leave my house, I can see cell towers north of here, east of here, and about 3 miles south of here, I can see another cell phone tower. So I have cell phone towers nearby, and yes, I'm in a basement, but it doesn't get much better when you go outside. It is very, very, very distressing and concerning, frankly, at how bad Verizon is these days compared to what they used to be. I mean, it doesn't, it's just not good. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it was so Speedify is a software-based solution, and Joe and I would agree would prefer hardware, which obviously was the best way to go. So um, yeah, something that could be one of those things where we just got to figure out a better solution. So David just shared regarding how to bond connections. So I will make a note of that and add it to my list of things to read about, because I definitely I love to try it. I definitely love to try it. So um, all right. So there, David, I removed your status. So Joe wants to know, how does it work? Okay. Well, so currently I do the chat through OBS, and so what I simply did was I built a different scene in OBS, and it's basically your logo that your lovely wife was so helpful in getting me a copy of your logo for you without the actual bug in the bottom part, and also a high quality version. And so I got the logo from your wife, and then I put it over a counter, and inside OBS. Wait, I can actually share this. Hold on. So inside OBS, I have your logo on top of a timer with a black background, and then in OBS there is a script running called Advanced Timer, and I basically turn it into a count up timer that I manually started when I went live. So it's close enough. It's not exactly, it's not exactly to the second, but it's probably within, I would say, 20 seconds of what I actually started the stream. So I would say good enough for me. I will. Hey, look at this. So I will be basically trying to tie it in with my Stream Deck, that when I hit go live, or when I basically transition out of the one source, that it triggers the timer so that it's more accurate. But I figured for today, it's cool enough. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the green screen over the content, but I don't know. Then now you see two tickers. So let's go back to the chat and put me over a different source. So pretty cool. I spent the 20 minutes before the show making that, and then fumbled the beginning of this. I was actually hoping to have a subscriber count as well, just because I wanted to actually keep track of subscribers, and there's no good way I could either do that through at least OBS. But anyway, let me close that. Yeah, so that intro was the part that I kind of baffled. So if you want a good laugh, go back to the beginning of the stream and watch the intro. The YOLO Box Pro just got a software update for bonding, and Aaron's had been on it with his live bikes. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, Eric, you actually mentioned that, because we briefly, Joe and I, and Tony actually, were briefly talking about the YOLO Box earlier as a possible idea on how to do that. I forgot the YOLO Box actually does have a bonding service now. So Joe, maybe that's another thing you can add to your list of things to go look into, is maybe the YOLO Box is a solution. I don't know that you want to go that route, but if it does have bonding in it, it may be worth a trial. That's not a modem. That's static noise. I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Um, Toro says, "I'm sorry, I don't work in that department." Toro, do you work for Verizon? I'm thinking that's what you were referencing, but maybe I'm wrong. No, my basement's not really a Faraday cage. It does not get much better outside. Um, this house is definitely not well insulated. It's definitely not well shielded. Um, but I would love to have a Faraday cage someday if I ever had the money to actually be able to afford to build a Faraday cage. I think it'd be pretty cool. For those of you who don't know what a Faraday cage is, and my color is changing again. Oh boy. Um, a Faraday cage is basically a device or I guess you basically make it. It's 360 degrees of metal fabric that is grounded essentially, and whenever you take a RF device inside of this ball or cage or whatever you make, RF can't get in or out, so you basically create an RF free environment. Um, if you've ever seen Enemy of the State, which is a great Will Smith movie, and Gene Hackman, towards the end of the movie, they go into a Faraday cage. It's not really a Faraday cage because the spacing on the wires is too far apart, but it's a movie. The concept's done the same. It's basically they go into a Faraday cage to kind of protect the trackers or whatever sensors. If you want to see a good movie and you haven't seen it, go see Enemy of the State. Pretty damn cool. Some of this tech is probably very real these days. At the time it was made, I'm not sure it was very real, but nowadays I'm pretty sure most of that movie is minus one key point. But most of that movie is pretty damn realistic. So if you want a movie recommendation, go see that. And then if you want more movie recommendations, let me know. YOLO Box is on sale on Amazon right now. Tony says that Verizon's been sucking wind in his area as well. Good to know. I don't recall. Oh, speed test on your phone. Yeah. Um, I know, right? It's bad, and it's not just me. It's everybody who's been complaining, and it's just absolute crap. $300 off the list price for the YOLO box. What does the YOLO box go for? Um, I never bothered to look it up. Actually, I'm curious now. Amazon YOLO. So a YOLO box is, am I saying that right? YOLO box? I assume I am, but is $700 right now. At least this one is. Um, $700. So if you, I mean, Aaron's done a couple interesting live streams with these things, so it could be worthwhile to check out. I'm going to close that, close this. My laptop does not like when multiple things are open, so I'm going to close things as I need to. Let me go back to the chat, which I just lost. Enemy of the State was a very good movie. Yes, it was. It was. I have no problems watching that movie over and over again, just because it's a very good movie. The Pro is $1,300. Wow. Or typically, that's not a cheap device. That's for sure. I will say, I don't know if I told you this or not, Joe. We had a Teradek product at work years ago, and it was not good. It was constantly needed rebooted, and it didn't want to hit our streaming server very well, and so we were constantly having to reboot it or just like go in and delete the configuration and then like put it back in place. And so, not a fan of those as well. I mean, that just in general. Signal be more like, yeah, no, there were no bars. And I mean, I do only have one bar, technically speaking, but we've seen it on our phones, like my wife and I, where we've had like it'll say 5G, and we have like 4 megs a second, and it says 5G. I mean, come on, no 5G signal should be that slow. Period. It just That's the whole point of 5G. They keep talking about, you can get gigabit speeds in your phone. First of all, you don't need gigabit speeds in your phone. So I don't need you to give me gigabit speeds if I'm standing at the base of the tower. I need you to give me signal a mile and a half away or 3 miles away. That's more important than giving me gigabit speeds at the base of a freaking tower. And this isn't rant TV, but man, that pisses me off. I don't need coverage at a certain location. I need coverage across the spectrum. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, I should be able to go wherever I need to go in a city and get good coverage. And that's not the case these days. "5G isn't 5G. It's a stand until they can actually bring 5G to the area." Um, yeah, I mean, well, we have a microcell near the station, and I literally can stand at the base of that tower and get like 200 megs a second. And then as I walk away, you can just see it plummet to the point where I can be down the street. I can see the tower with my eyes, and the best I can do is about 20 megs. Um, and it's like, wait a minute, what? I can still see the tower, and I'm getting 20 megs a second. I was getting 200 previously. Like, I don't know. I have 5G, and it's bad. I mean, I don't know who we need to tell or who needs to watch the stream, but it's just bad. So I feel like we should check the JAU counter. 43 minutes. We're doing pretty good here on time. So, and I have not checked the stats of the stream. I'm wondering. Hold on. Currently, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. 7 likes, thank you guys, and 991 subs. So approaching that 1,000, which I think is awesome. My mic was not on. Sorry about that. I had a feeling. I'm like, I'm talking, and I'm pretty sure no one's hearing me. And I even have VU meters over here. So like, I was trying to pay attention to that. So uh, sorry about that. So yeah. So much for 5G. What I was saying was, isn't it the was it AT&T or the iPhone that after like a software update, literally like just changed the logo to be 5G, even though nothing had changed. Um, yeah. I actually was looking at those the other day. Somebody on YouTube. I should remember who it was. Hmm. Sorry about that, guys. Wow. Um, who was it did the booster review the other day? Antenna Man, Lawn TV, someone like that just did it in a booster review, and I'm really considering getting that at the station because we are. You walk in the station and the cell phone coverage just plummets, and it's I mean worse than being outside, which it's already bad outside. So, um, yeah, actually was looking up the other day about a booster, at least for the station. Um, we could point that antenna right at that microcell down the street, and it'd be perfect. But I shouldn't have to. I mean, like, that's my point. Is I shouldn't have to do that. But Wi-Fi works up close, not so good further away. That's true. I mean, I forgot about A. That's been a while. I think what we're on AC. I'm on AC here or N. No, I'm on. I think I'm on N. I don't think I'm on the latest and greatest. Yeah, mute, mute. Yep, sorry. Hold on. Still sound. Hey, you're back. um, I should find a way to monitor my audio. Um, so speaking of that, so the TV studio does have a headphone output, but and I got an adapter, but apparently I need a stereo adapter, so I need to get a different adapter for that. I used to have a bunch of them. Not sure where they went. But the one thing I don't understand is why Blackmagic went with like the Pilot headphone connector. Like, who does that? That's not even like. Why did you choose that size? It makes no sense to me. Anyway, all phones pretty much changed its logo. It's all marketing. Yeah, 5G swap. Boosters can work. Sorry, boosters can work, but you have to be in the right kind of situation. Care to elaborate, like what makes a good situation? Because I really, really do think we need one at work, and I don't want to buy one and put it in and have it create a problem. So, um, if you could elaborate on what a good scenario would be for a booster, I would love to know that, Toro. I mean, I think we're in a good situation for a booster because our building is 2 stories, and uh, the nearest cell phone tower is a microcell down the street, like I said. And I think on the roof we could put the antenna, or directional antenna, aiming towards the microcell, bring it down into the building 2 stories, and then rebroadcast it like 2 stories into the building, and therefore I don't think you'd have that loop problem, if you will. But I could see where you could definitely have a problem if you just literally used it as a repeater, like next to the antenna. If you didn't have separation, I think you could probably, in at least my building, get 100-foot separation, if not more, and it would help out a lot. So if that's a good scenario for it, please let me know. I don't know these products. David said feedback loops are a thing for cell phone boosters. At the university where I work, they have had to do it in the basement locations. Yeah, I mean, basically, that's what I'm thinking is you put it in the roof, and then you basically bring it down to the first floor or the basement, and then that's where you put the boosted antenna in, and I think that should work. So if that's not a good scenario, if that sounds bad, please let me know. Toro says you can't be on the fringe. Yeah, no, we're not on the fringe. That's for sure. Like I said, I think from our roof we could see the microcell antenna, like line of sight. So we would definitely not be on the fringe for sure. All right. So any other questions? Oh, let's check on the JAU. Oh, 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Oh, and the just the one thing I guess I forgot to mention too is since I did want to provide a studio update. Um, Come on. This is my current setup right now, or at least this was my setup for yesterday. Um, so there you can kind of see how kind of just thrown together it is. And it's basically not much right now, but it is slowly changing as I kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work. Um, so like I said, I'm probably going to get rid of that green wall again. Um, get rid of the green wall. I'm gonna try to find a better desk to sit at. I mean, not that you guys see it, but I just feel like I need a better desk. I do want to figure out some way to put that monitor onto the camera stand. I'm also gonna get a different camera here soon, um, and then I might hang that light from the ceiling. I'm not sure because I hate walking past this tripod. Um, and then of course the wiring needs completely cleaned up. I'm gonna make custom cables for every cable that's involved, so there's not extra cables lying around and all that stuff with the not cut to length, and then get rid of that end. So just wanted to share that the ever evolving studio and how it's again been updated slightly but not much. For that stream yesterday, actually, I had to use Haley's laptop because it had a USB-C port in that I could plug in. Where'd it go? Oh, hold on. So I got this. I purchased this AverMedia HDMI to USB-C device to capture. This was originally going to be upstairs with my OBS setup, and I used it I think once on the stream, and then never used it again. But this actually worked well with Zoom, and so I brought the output of the TV Studio HD and over to it, but I needed a laptop with USB-C, and Haley's laptop has that, mine does not, so I was using that now. I used that yesterday to stream with Aaron. And just a couple more comments I thought, about that. We used the Zoom Epiphan thing. That seems awfully good. If I was doing like remote conferences or if I had to do multiple guests via Zoom for like a talk show, that product seemed pretty damn cool. And it didn't seem very expensive. So I was actually very impressed with the Epiphan Cloud. Basically the concept of it and the price of it, if that was what, $25 a month or $25 an hour, I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. And it can generate an SRT feed, which you can decode, and he could send back return video, which return video is huge, I think. At least when there's no delay, so. Ooh, boy, I just saw a bunch of chats. Hold on. I wish this chat plugin issue would be fixed. So David's talking about signal reception. Toro says if your signal is just below -70, you're in the poor range, but if you're greater than -80, it's a good place to use a booster. Just curious. I have one of those apps on my phone that tells me the signal strength. because unlike Apple, Android actually lets you have that information. Looks like I'm at a negative 111 dBm. That seems really low. Maybe not. But yeah, right now it says my serving cell is negative 111 dBm. I'm on band 13, if that means anything. And currently it shows me as in the orange. Not the worst signal ever, but definitely not the best. So David says he gets a negative 60. Welcome in, Off Air with Jezza. Hey, mate, currently building some racks for remote soccer. Ooh, that sounds fun. I'm guessing you're Australian, and soccer, I'm sure, is big there. Soccer is not very big here in the States, but that's equivalent to football over there, right? In terms of popularity. Yes, welcome in. Welcome in. Glad to see you here. You're in the good range on your roof. Yeah. As an American, I only recently earned that Jezza is a nickname for Jeremy. Oh, I did not know that, so I learned something, so thank you. Hi, hon. I have eradicated all my issues by having a MikroTik modem on the edge of my property and using Wi-Fi for calling and SMS. How big is your property? I'm curious. Yeah, I'm the cooler. Good. 16. Hit that like button, everybody. Ooh, 17. Thank you, guys. Sydney, Australia. Okay, I figured you were Australian. Glad to have you here. Curious what time is it there? I'm guessing like. Oh wait, no, I can tell. I have a world app or clock or world on my phone, and I'm pretty sure I put Sydney in it. Yes, it is currently 11:57 a.m. in Sydney, and it is 66 degrees. So, yeah. Epiphane Cloud is definitely a unique product, that is for sure. Have you tried vMix Call? Welcome in, Adam. I did try it once. It did work. I have never used it consistently. Like I never actually used it in production. But when vMix first debuted that, I believe Joe or Tony or somebody in that group tested it with me, and it worked out really well. I was pretty impressed with it, especially the ease of use of just making it work, like adding a call and then boom. Was simply amazed at how well that worked. But I don't have a use for it, so I don't, we don't ever use it. But definitely a product that definitely one of the things vMix Call or vMix made that was pretty cool, and definitely helps their product stand out. Well, that and replay. What measurement is that? Oh, that. Is it RSRP? Looks like that's what it says. It's a -2 RSSRN, and it's a -15 RSRQ. So RSRQ is -15, RSRP is -110, and the RSSNR is 1. Hopefully that means something to you. Yeah, soccer's massive there, I'm sure. Um, are you building like a trailer or are you building a studio? Um, I'm curious because I saw back, was it last year? Ryan Summers, I think it's I think it's he built a trailer um, using a really weird shell, um, but he used the trailer to make a production truck, which was really interesting to watch because he used like a Gulfstream metal trailer from the U.S., which I thought was kind of interesting. Nils, what kind of camera are you getting potentially? Well, I've been looking at the DSLRs, whether it's Sony or Canon. Um, I actually have one I borrowed from a friend to try. I haven't tried it yet, but it's a Canon. We'll see if that works out well. I been watching some videos and people want to recommend the ZVE1. I think it's kind of expensive. I'd rather just buy a used camera. I was looking at as a Canon Mark 7D, whatever the old model is that's on eBay for a couple $100. That has me interested because I don't need anything fancy for this. I mean, it just needs to be a standard shot, and so I'm gonna try I forget the model number of that one. Um, he had two of them, so he said, "Here, borrow one," and so I'm gonna try that. I think it has clean HDMI out on it, and then I was looking at all kinds of reviews. So, but if you have one that you recommend, of course, everybody has an opinion about what SLR or DSLR you should have, or if you should go mirrorless. Yeah, not sure. I think I missed it earlier, but did I see? Speaking of people who hopped in and oh yeah, Jeremy, welcome in, Jeremy. Um, I actually had a question about Minerca or um, yeah, the backup solution. Um, I couldn't get the client to connect, so do I have to change the admin password first, or can I just use the default? Just curious. Oh, I had to step away for a bit. I'm basically the producer and head engineer. Well, always good. Uh, always love when the producers are technical in nature. That definitely helps the production. um, so you were asking basically what to do, what suggestions. Uh, my take. I mean, I'm still very new to sports productions. I don't do them very often anymore because the job change and stuff. But my suggestion was always basically don't act like a know-it-all. It's better to admit you're new and to ask a lot of questions, and definitely don't be cocky. People will see through that easily, and you're all there to accomplish the same goal. So don't act bigger or better than anybody else. And I always found that if you ask questions and say, "Hey, I'm new," or "This is new to me," people are very willing to help explain it to you. Um, and it's better to ask questions than to just act like you know what you're doing and then not know. So that's my suggestions. If I'm sure you may have more experience than that already, but I guess that just goes for anybody in general. When approaching certain things, and yeah, I always had good luck saying, "Hey, I'm new to this. Please help me understand. Here's where I came from." And that actually came in handy one time. This was during COVID, and we were doing a production in Detroit, and they had to bring in a guest via Zoom, and they had never done this before. And so they're like, how do you do the Zoom and how do you do the whatever? And I was like, hey, I do this all the time. Can I help? And of course, they're like, yes, by all means, please. And so I jumped in and helped them with this, Zoom guest that they had never done before. And so even though I wasn't experienced with sports, because I had done television previously, I was able to use my knowledge to help out that particular situation. And that really I think that went a long way, to help getting everyone to be comfortable with the fact that I was there, and that I wasn't a seasoned veteran of sports, but yet I obviously knew what I was doing in terms of television. So those would be my suggestions, if you will. Hopefully it goes well. I would love to hear back about it. If you want to share what event you're working on, that'd be cool too. If you don't want to share, obviously I understand. But yeah, so it's pretty much midday in Australia. It does kind of sound like a big show. Peacock's a big deal. I mean, that's NBC's streaming platform for those of you who don't know, and I mean that's pretty cool. Small crew, big show. Yeah, if you're producer and head engineer, it's got to be a small crew. I'm guessing Remy. If I had to take a wild guess, you're doing a Remy production. Maybe I'm wrong. Small crew, no surprise. Yeah, budgets are what they are. Oh, you're doing track and field. Yeah, I don't assume that gets a lot of viewership. But people do watch it. People watch all kinds of stuff that I'm amazed by. Especially on YouTube. Some of the videos I come across, like 45 minutes of this, and it has, thousands of views. And it's 45 minutes of, a guy plowing dirt or a field. I don't know. It amazes me what people will watch sometimes. RSRP is good up to -90, unusable at -20. -20, you're drowning. Oh, that's the RSRQ. RSRQ. Well, I'm -18 right now, so yeah, I guess I'm drowning in noise, as you put it. I'm gonna make. Hold on? Go away. There we go. I'm gonna do a screenshot of that because I want to make note of that for future reference. Good to know. I love how we have experts in the audience from various different fields. Pretty cool. Off air, we have a building with 3 control rooms inside that are reusing Green Go for comms and a live view for redundancy. Glen Sound for commentary. I don't know what Glen Sound is. I've heard of Green Go for comms. I don't know much about them, but I did see their webpage the other day. I was looking up something for intercoms. I forget what the hell I was looking up, and I did come across them. So I'm curious to know how that works out. Well, I have a web browser. I can go there now. Yeah. Sorry about. I gotta make this change better. I'll get there. Like I said, this is only version 0.5. Green Go intercom. Green Go intercom systems. Products. Yep, this is where I was there today. No, we don't need to talk. Accessories, switches. They make switches? Multi-panel stations. Let's look at that. View multi-panel stations. So we're gonna look at sure, this one. Multi-channel rack solution. Buttons seem a little small to start with, but it's just a picture. Are these compatible with? Are these like compatible with other intercoms or powered via PoE? That's always good. Includes 2 Ethercon. Ooh, I love the fact that they give the firmware right there on the website. No need to. Well, can you download it? Yes, you can. All right, I like these guys already. No need to register or no need to do anything else. Just get the damn thing. There's the manual. Application notes. Wow. I will have to check this out. Like, actually, more so than I did the other day. Because I basically said, oh, okay, cool, they make intercoms. And then I moved on. But now that I'm actually looking into this, oh, they make Dante interfaces. Always a good thing. Connects up to 8 streams. Interesting. Are these Australian? I'm guessing. Where's their company headquarters? Contact us. I don't want to do a form. I want to know where you're from. News service. I don't know where you are, but I like the fact that you have firmware and manuals on your webpage, and that you don't hide any of your stuff. To me, that screams open transparency and is all good things. All right, let's go back to chat. Holy crap! I was gonna ask you. Oops. I was gonna ask you if the LU800 was the 4-in or whatever backpack. Because I have seen that one, if that's the case. Don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. Where was that thing? I'm looking up a picture. Hold on, people. So I think this is the LU800. This is the LiveView backpack with 4 video inputs, and then it streams all 4 back using the connection. I believe this was wired into a physical network jack with 4 feeds. I would sure hope you had a physical wired network cable, because you probably definitely need some serious bandwidth. But I think this is the LU800, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so go back to that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Then switching on a TriCaster. Yeah, so I'm curious because I've seen a TriCaster used in one truck or trailer, and they had to have 2 server units, and one was like the big frame and one was a small frame. And I only could imagine they had to have 2 because the thing failed previously, and so they had to have 2 frames. I've used a TriCaster once in my life, and it was used to basically control a different device through a web page. Very long story about standards and not working, which actually would help to explain why I said earlier about NDI not working, because there was another standard called AMP, and one company said they supported AMP, and one company said they supported AMP and only supported 14 commands out of the 70 plus commands or whatever the hell it was. And if you support AMP, you support the whole protocol, or you don't. And that created a giant issue, and I do not want to get upset on the stream, but that'd be a rant I would definitely go off on about, because to this day it still makes me mad. Hold on, this background is there. You go. Nope, wrong one. From Minerka, you could test with the default admin account. That's what I thought so too, and it would not connect. So I would I'll try it again tomorrow. But I was really trying Minerka. I was really wanting it to work, and then it failed the first attempt. So Joe's apparently 4. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I'm glad you like my advice. Yeah. Jeremy says there was some odd behavior with how they wanted the IP address, as if it would work. Or I will try. I will revisit that. I could have been doing it wrong. Yeah, so I will revisit that. Adam, speaking of new, I'm newer to the channel. What area work have you been doing lately? So the last thing I did was production-wise. I mean, minus my day job where I'm in charge of the TV station engineering crew, and that's a daily activity of, overseeing 16 people. We do news 6-7 hours of news a day, so we do a lot of newscast. I oversee that crew. What do I do lately in terms of freelance work? The last thing I did was a graduation for the university, where that was a 3-camera shoot with vMix. Before that was basically, I did some football games last year for the university, but I have not done freelance work outside of the local area in over a year, because for the last, we'll just say 10 months, I've been in charge of the department, and I really don't want to be leaving town to do freelance work right now. So I hope to get back into that. There's some other things that happen around that, but basically I do local sports at the university, and then I do newscast related over-the-air television station stuff on a daily basis. So hopefully that answers your question. I do really want to get back into doing freelance again, and I probably can here, soon. I'm always open to if the phone rings or the email comes in, but I kind of stopped responding and I kind of stopped asking. So I probably need to reach out to them again and say, hey, I'm still here. But Michael says it's the Ed Murphy Pro Classic in Memphis, professional track and field meet. Okay. It's not a Remy. Okay. But it's a crew of 4. Interesting. Well, wait, didn't you say it was sending it back? No, that was Jezza. I'm sorry. I'm getting the two confused. So are you switching on site? Like, who's doing what? Just curious. 45 minutes of brush clean. Yeah, it was a YouTube channel, and it was the guy who just was basically recording him clearing trees, and I was like, it's 45 minutes long. Who watches this? I was just confused. Yeah. So, comms is using a Gringo Dante box to send mix minus from the control room to field. Send and receive audio via Dante's and a Hollyland. Yeah, okay. Comms is using a Gringo down hitbox, send X minus from control room to field rack, and then to send audio. Yeah, okay, I think I understand. Um, those 4-wire interfaces can be tricky. I'll just say that. Gringo is Ryan Summerfield's favorite comm system. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like that's where I saw it initially, maybe from, and I was, um, it just came back up again their day. It's expensive, but cheaper than yeah. I mean, always expensive is always relative. It's relative, because what a small station might consider expensive, a network might consider throwaway money. I've actually seen that basically where one station group thought that was chump change, and one station group thought that was like very expensive. So expense is always relative. I would just keep that in mind. You've exceeded your JAU. We have. Wow. In fact, we've gone way past the JAU. Almost 1 hour and 30 minutes. So yeah, do you guys like the JAU counter? I think. Oops. Um, this right here. Here you go. See myself back on a monitor is kind of trippy. Um, we drove right past it. Yes, we did. And the fact that there's so many of you still here is awesome. I love it. I'm so happy that you're all here. Um, Toro, oops. Don't get me started talking about the inter-packet gap standard deviation between equipment. Yeah. The TV station is a lot of fun. I've been there for 19 years, and within, like I said, the last 10 months was promoted to head of technology. And so that's been an interesting transition, one that is well received by everybody, and everyone is very supportive. And so, yeah, loving it so far. Michael says, we are switching on site, mostly Blackmagic stuff. Insta replay via vMix. Yeah, I will have to... what did you say it was? I have to go back and look again. I'm going to make a note of that and see if I can't watch it this weekend. Or part of it. Alrighty, so Adam says vMix is great. We ran 4 cameras in replay on a MacBook Pro with an external Decklink Duo and surprising little issues. Yeah, I mean, but vMix is Windows, so you were running Windows on your MacBook Pro. That's interesting. Glad it worked. But yeah, I mean, we use vMix with 4 cameras all the time. On a custom built, actually we have 2 custom built PCs. We generally don't have performance issues. We generally, like I said yesterday in the stream, we generally have Windows audio issues where the device simply doesn't want to respond or doesn't show up or becomes disconnected for some reason. Or today the default audio device is the HDMI port, and tomorrow the default device is the 1/8-inch speaker jack. Why it changed, I don't know. We usually hard set those, but sometimes they don't always work, or we plug in new devices and they want to change. So my biggest issue with vMix is not so much vMix itself, is the Windows audio issues that you have to contend with because you're running vMix on Windows. Getting those view hours up. Yes, they are. I probably can't actually ask this, but I'm going to anyway because I don't think YouTube's watching. But if you want to help out and go back watch some live streams and just play it in the background, I would appreciate that. I am about 1,000 hours away from monetization. Based on the current subscriber count, I think we'll be I mean, I'm already over they lowered the limit. So I'm already over the subscriber count threshold. It was 500 now. I'm almost to 1,000, but my watch hours are, my watch hours are about 1,000 short of the intro level monetization, which is basically, I think, super chats and all memberships. I don't know if that's the basic level or not. I'm 2,000 away from actually making money off ads. But as most of you know, and if you don't know, this channel is about having fun and connecting with people. It's not about making money. I do not see myself ever being a full-time YouTuber. I have no intention of being a full-time YouTuber. This is just about fun and connecting people at Australia, West Coast, East Coast. You're all here. Usually Bob's here. He's in Canada. I just love connecting people, and so any support I get is great, and any money I make off this channel will definitely go back into the channel. It's not about putting it in my wallet to go buy whatever. I want to basically reinvest in this channel to make it better and have more fun and be able to show you more cool things. So I already have a list of things that I would buy if I had money from this channel today. Like, I hate to say it, but this TV Studio HD that I got a steal on is too small. It's only got 4 SDI and 4 HDMI, and I'm already out of the SDI inputs, and the HDMI inputs I already have 2 of the 4 filled, and so I'm already pushing the limits of the switcher, and I only have 1 camera, 1 laptop. I have OBS, which is down below, and so that's using 2 of the SDI, and then the HyperDeck, which I don't really have a use case for yet, but I may eventually. That's using 2 SDI inputs, and so between my simple setup that I have here, I only have 2 free ports, and I really want more SDI inputs because, well, I think the camera could be SDI, and then I have some other ideas that I want to do, like an actual display station, like a computer that's for demonstration purposes, which is separate from my chat machine. This is what I want, basically. I want my demo computer. I want a chat computer. I want to bring a Raspberry Pi in as a display device. I have a bunch of different ideas I want to do, and this TV studio is definitely not going to cut it long term. Of course, right now it's what I have, and it obviously was working great, but I do have ideas that go beyond this already. So that was a long way to respond to your question, Eric. But yeah. I love it. We used to run some graphics in a pinch too, but we use our Constellation. Yeah, that was discussed yesterday on the streaming, or on Aaron's stream. Basically, do you ever combine vMix with a hardware solution? I've never done that before. I could see where that would be useful, but we are limited, kind of like your production. Is it tomorrow or this weekend? I forget what you said. We are limited on our productions by staff, and we have like 1 paid staff member. Well, they're all paid, but one is a staff position, and so he usually directs and runs vMix, and then there's 2 or 3 students depending upon the production, and so we need a very simple box that does it all. I don't want to deal with the fly pack and vMix and other things. Because one of the things yesterday that was brought up in Aaron's stream was, if you want to use vMix with a replay, but then you want a hardware-based solution for switching, so you have a hardware switcher and software vMix. Well, if you have, let's just say, 4 cameras coming in, you've got to split those 4 cameras before they go into the devices. So you've got to have 4 DAs or distribution amps. So the camera's got to come in, get split, and go to the switcher and the replay device. So now you got 4 boxes for cameras. Then you've got to connect the 2 together. So now you're at a switcher that needs at least 6 inputs, plus, who knows what else. Of course, the Constellation can do that, but it just kind of creates more complexity when you're trying to build a system where the replay and switching are separate. So unless you're going like all out, vMix to me makes the most sense. You basically just bring the input in once and you split it in software. And then what we often do is I have a Stream Deck, the bigger version, and we've configured it to be the switcher. And so what we do is, and actually I probably have a picture. I'm a very visual person, so I love pictures for things. So yeah, can I show this picture? Yeah. So this is our vMix trailer. It was just kind of thrown together, but basically you can see how in our setup we have the nice custom-made PC physically attached to the wall because that's important in a trailer that goes on the road. And then we have a USB audio interface or USB mixer that feeds the vMix computer. And then this position is basically usually a student, but it can be a staff position. And they basically, I kind of call them the associate director slash replay operator because this is mainly used for replay, but also they're the one queuing up the breaks. And then we take one of the outputs and we just duplicate it, I should say. And it's a multi-view. So the director can actually sit over here in this chair and switch the show with the Stream Deck and see all the cameras directly. And so he's essentially got a switcher in front of him because he's got everything at his disposal he needs, but he's not occupying a spot at the vMix computer itself. And so instead of actually giving him a hardware switcher, we just give him a Stream Deck to control the vMix, and he essentially is a director just making calls and pushing buttons. He's not actually running a switcher. So hopefully that makes some sense. If it doesn't, let me know. And I gotta figure out a better way to transition in and out of that. That'll be job 2, I guess, next week because I still want to figure out if I can convert to 1080p for all of you. I told you I would do that last week and I didn't get around to it, and I mentioned it yesterday in the stream and didn't get around to it, so it's still my list of things to do. Oops, sorry about that. Come on. There we go. Oh, you're 22. Okay. Adam says yes, they're using Boot Camp. Okay. Michael says vMix works pretty well on the Intel Macs. So that's good to know. That's good to know. Because we actually have some of those Thunderbolt capture cards for the Macs, and since we switched to vMix, we have no use for the old Macs because we have no use for them anymore. So we could put Windows on there and run vMix. That's interesting. I never thought about doing that. Yeah, I'll have to. Oh, yeah, you can't use the Apple Silicon one. That makes sense. Our Macs are 4 years old? 3 years old? Maybe? Yeah, I'm with you, Eric. I had never thought about that. That's pretty cool. I had a Mac Pro here for a while. Actually, it was a 2009 Mac Pro that until about a year and a half ago, I was still actually had running. Boot Camp was very, very cool. I would say between Boot Camp and Time Machine, I still think Time Machine is the single greatest backup solution that I've seen. only for the simplicity to end users. I mean, the fact that you can point it at a directory and say, back up my stuff, and then it maintains all the versions, and it makes it easy for a user to go in and find what they're looking for without having to like dig through restore points and whatnot. I mean, simply amazing. I wish Time Machine was a Windows product because I would use it right now. And then Boot Camp, yeah, I mean that was pretty cool to be able to just sit there and say, I want to boot into Windows or I want to boot into whatever. Like it was just, that was a cool product. So, Eric says, my back catalog does have some worthwhile hits. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would definitely, if you want to help the channel out, go back and watch. And I mean, I know Michael and Adam, you are new. I've done a bunch of live streams over the last year. Over a range of topics. Some of them can get pretty technical in nature. Some of them are general Q&As. If you want to hear some interesting music, go back a couple of weeks. There was a listening party where I played music from a high school band that I was in. So yeah, I've had a couple different live streams over the last year. If you're interested in radio, there's a Rivendell one, which is an open source radio tool. So yeah, please check out my back catalog. I would love to views, that's for sure. But I think you might actually learn something too. Michael says he misses boot camp. I still have one Mac Mini Intel just because maybe. Yeah. Slowly stepping into the black magic. I mean, yeah. I do want, Black Magic released those 2110 converters. I think honestly, if I had some money from this channel, those would probably be the first things I'd buy just to get my hands on them to try it. Because I want to see how they work and what kind of bandwidth they send across the network. And I would absolutely love to have a pair of the 2110 converters that Blackmagic just released. They're like $500 a piece though, so gonna need a lot of super chats to get to there. Are those the crazy expensive cameras that Aaron bought? I think those are, and I have no intention of buying 6 of any cameras, let alone $3,000 cameras or whatever the hell they were. Definitely not doing that. I kind of think I want at least 2 cameras, maybe 3. I would love to have obviously a new head-on camera that does the bokeh shallow depth of field that is very popular these days on YouTube. Only because like this wall is not very far behind me, and so whatever set piece I decide to put back here, like I don't want it to be all in focus. I do actually would like to have that depth of field. So I wouldn't mind having a nice mirrorless or whatever DSLR camera for that, and then I've always kind of liked the side view where you kind of see like a wider shot of the whole thing for like bump-ins or maybe cough breaks. I would love to have like a side view camera or, whatever. I don't see a need for a top-down camera yet, but I kind of think at some point that might be helpful for certain things, but who knows? But I can never see myself having more than 3 cameras at most. I just don't see that happening. I'm not sure what that was a reference to. Yeah, I think those cameras could do IP. Definitely the right tool for the job. It'll never criticize anyone who buys it. Just a number that. Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know. For what he does, I think it makes a lot of sense because he's got two different desks. I still think six seems high, but I do understand where if you're doing two different desks, that three cameras per desk would come in handy. Um, so I use four of my outputs from the Constellation to vMix, but I totally get to consolidate. Yeah. AJ, welcome in. AJ was a former staff member at the university, and we've done a lot of games and events together. Um yeah, students do pick up vMix. They can direct for sure uh, using that setup we made. Um, so AJ, glad you made it in. Toro, have a good night. We used to do. AJ says they used to do one camera shoots with vMix and the MacBooks. Yeah, because like I said, we used the MacBooks. The MacBooks ran production truck for graphics, and then we would send that over NDI to the vMix computer with a camera. Nils says, I would like to see a vMix PC with an Epic GPU or CPU and a Supermicro mainboard, but I don't to be that person who drops a grand to find out if it works well. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Those cams are only $1,500. Yeah, okay, so those were the ones he bought. $2,000 new. Yeah, I thought they were 3,000, but um, either way, you have more people on your stream than a lot of the much larger channels. Congratulations. Well, thank you. How many people are actually here? Um, I'm curious. How many actually are here? I don't know the. I closed the YouTube tab. Um, you guys are gonna beat me there. I already guarantee it. You're gonna beat me to the post to tell me how many people are here. 16 concurrent viewers, 13 likes. That is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I truly do. I think you guys are all awesome for being here. Oh, that is so awesome. Let me go back to the chat. All right. Funny you mentioned multiple deck links on a write on an Epic motherboard. I mean, you wonder how close the software-based switcher one could get. I know we've done literally dozens. Um, AJ says 16. Okay, so back to this. So both of the computers that I have personally spec'd out and built, um, one was under AJ actually. He bought AJ bought one of them, and then I built one. Actually, I built two at work. No, one that had two deck link duos in them from Blackmagic. So we've got 8 inputs or outputs on the vMix computer, and on the one PC we built, I want to say it was a gigabyte motherboard. We could add another card, um, but the other one, hold on, the one was a gigabyte motherboard, and I'm pretty sure we could add a third card if we wanted to. Um, the other one was a AJ. Was that you, Streaming Dudes? I think that was you, right? Who bought the Streaming Dudes PC? Um, I think that one is maxed out at 2 cards. Um, Black Magic makes some, I think, 8 input cards, so you could do 8 inputs on one card using the BNC. They call them BNC HDs or BNC high densities. They're the small connectors that are a pain in the butt. If you buy that card, I'd recommend that you buy several of the mini or BNC HD connectors to full size BNC adapters, and that you just leave the adapters on the card itself, and then have basically a bunch of the cables coming out like bundled together, because those connectors are almost impossible to get on and off without the special tool. And even the special tool, similar to this, but with a smaller head on it. Even using this tool for the mini BNCs, they are hard to get on and off. So if you're going to get the 8 input card, I would suggest you get adapters and then you just leave the cables on there. But yeah, you can put a lot of cards. You can put at least 3 cards in most modern PCs, I think. And then if not, you get a 8 input card. Because if we look at this and go to Blackmagic Designs, products, capture, oh, where's their other one? Didn't they do it a mini one? I could have swore they did a mini one. Do they not do the mini one anymore? Mile wet? Ah, crap. Hold on. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That's quad HDMI. Yeah, this is the Deck Link Duo. This is what I've bought for every machine I've spec'd out. um, I mean, for $500, you get 4 inputs and out, or 4 inputs or outputs, or any combination of the 4. Um, I mean, that's just a great price. um, oh, there's the Mini Duo. So that would be a small form factor. That'd be kind of cool. I've never seen it before. Mini monitor. I can't even fathom what this thing would be used for. Um, where the hell is that damn thing? I know they used to make one. Are Mile Wet? Am I thinking of a different brand? I might be thinking of a different brand. Crap. My bad. Because I don't see it on here. The Quad 2. Oh, there we go. I skipped over it. There you go. Yeah, so this is 8 independent SDI inputs or outputs on one card for $1,000. I mean, that's simply amazing. That's incredible. And it has a reference input. Not that you ever use it, but it's pretty cool. Um, oops, wrong one. So AJ says the one we built was better. Yeah, probably was. Um, Simba Hunter, welcome in. Well, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. Glad you could make a live stream. Yeah, there's an 8-port deck link. Yep. But somebody, please, seriously, explain this one. It's an M.2 card with capture but there's no inputs. Like I don't understand where does the where do they go? Um I mean, yeah, oh sorry, yeah, I guess you got to do this thing, don't you? You got to plug it in. But where would this go? What would the use case be for this thing? I don't understand. A laptop with a like you got to drill a hole on the side of the laptop for this? I'm wondering. So Eric says the M2 card goes in a little card. Yeah, but like again, where so the M2 card goes what in a laptop and then you drill a hole? I mean, I'm just curious because I don't understand the use case for this. And I'm planning their target audience. I'm obviously not a person who's going to buy this thing, but I'm just curious. So Adam asked a good question. Have you ever used the reference input for anything? Yes. In the broadcast world, we use the reference input all the time because our broadcast switchers that we generally use do not do frame synchronization. So on when you use these capture cards as part of video servers or playout devices, you need to reference that device with the house genlock in order to take that source on the air cleanly. So everything we have at the TV studio does get a reference input because, like I said, our switchers do not have frame syncs in them, which is what Blackmagic has. Like all Blackmagic switchers have built-in basically frame syncs on each input so that it will detect the input and readjust it so they all match. Our switchers, because there's 64 inputs, our switcher, because it has 64 inputs, we don't have frame syncs on every input. So the input going in has to be locked before it gets to the switcher. And so yes, we use reference input on everything. And then we have to adjust it, the timing of every device, because just because you plug a cable in that has reference on it does not mean that it automatically works, because reference is based on the signal arriving at the same device at the same time. Sorry, every device at the same time. It's getting late. So the signal arrives at different devices, different times based on the cable lengths. So you have to go in and basically there's a device we have, and maybe I should do a stream on just that device. But basically you have a device where you have two inputs, and you have a reference input, and then you have the input you're testing or you're calibrating. And the device will tell you how far off the input source is from the house reference. And you're talking milliseconds, like you're talking down at really small levels. And so you, in theory, can go into the software that is using that reference input and adjust it down so that you are lined up perfectly horizontally and vertically. There's two parts to it. And therefore, you're in time with each other. So yes, we actually do use the reference input all the time for every device we have at the station. But Blackmagic doesn't need reference because it does it automatically. I think, does their old switchers do that? I'm not sure if their old switchers do it or not, but I know the new ones do. So I think there's a scenario where you may want or may need to use the reference input on a Blackmagic switcher. We've never had to do that before on our remotes, like at the parade. I did a parade. We don't do it there. We don't do it at the university at all, but we actually had to in our old control room that AJ and I actually ripped out. Was that 2 years ago? AJ, I think we ripped it out. That was a professional grade control room, and so everything in it, in that room had to have reference because, again, the switcher didn't have the ability to gen lock or reference the incoming video. So hopefully that you followed that. Oh boy, my there are tiny coax cables and connectors, just like a Wi-Fi card. Maybe if you're out of PCI slots. Decklink fanboys. Didn't you bring up? Oh, they do. I don't know about that one, but Decklink cards are used in, like I said, all kinds of servers. So I'm pretty sure. Oh, I know LTN, the IP provider, they use Decklink cards in their boxes. So I know Decklink cards are used in, but those are super micro servers. Those are the 1RU black server micro chassis that you see PF-Sense routers being built into because they have like 6 network cards. We don't have those versions. We have the plain front versions, but I mean, they're the same super micro chassis, and they have black magic cards in them. So maybe that's what you're talking about. I have watched those long yard or a lot cleaner. They're like a moment of Zen videos. Well, okay, fair point. I'd much rather watch a lake video. I guess that'd be, yeah, I could see myself putting a video of a lake scene on and watching it or listening to it for a while, but not cleaning the yard, not moving dirt around. That doesn't. Joe says, I love watching people work. I feel like that's like right now. Like you're watching me do this live stream and I'm working, so I feel like, Nils says, it would be interesting to know how much it would cost and what we would need to do overlays, switching, etc. on a server or on a cloud. There are several solutions that are already out there. I don't know them all. StreamYard comes to mind. If you ever watch Lawrence Systems, he's a tech channel. He uses StreamYard. I did get a demo of TVU's cloud-based solution. That basically you would take the TVU backpacks out in the field, you would stream the backpack to the cloud, and then the producer could sit there and control it from anywhere. It was pretty good. It had some limitations. They were pretty obvious. I don't want to get into it, but basically, for what we needed it to do, it wasn't going to work. But if you're doing you're doing 3 cameras, track and field meet, and the switching's pretty slow, and you don't need a whole lot of things like replay, you could probably use a TVU cloud to do that. I don't remember the cost associated to that. It was not cheap. At least I don't remember it being cheap. But they make a product that you could look into, the TVU cloud. I forget what it's called. I don't remember. But TVU has a cloud solution, professional cloud solution. There's also, like I said, StreamYard that does cloud switching. So those would be 2 solutions that I would go look up if you were interested in that sort of thing. Joe says, I love a parade and dance monkey. Oh boy. Joe, I can't wait to actually get super chats and monetization because I feel like you're going to have a field day with that. Ooh, hold on. We ready? Going to have 2 JAUs here in a minute, in less than a minute. So I don't have any animations to make like a cool celebration, and I can't do sounds, but here we go. We're going to have 2 JAUs. 2. That's 2. We have done 2 JAUs tonight. So with that, I'm going to call it quits. I want to thank you all for being here. I truly do appreciate it. I look forward to this every week. Um, as usual, let me check my schedule for next Monday. I don't see it being an issue. Yeah, I don't have anything on my calendar for next Monday. So I should be back next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. As always, thank you guys and have a great night.